back again. Got the head here from the old head that was on the motor, the engine, and this was the issue the machine shop had with it. As you can see, let me see, is that cylinder? Oh, that's these are the rear, back two cylinders. So I guess that would be 4, 3, 2 and 1. These two cylinders, they were pretty decent. Like, there was none of that pitting. I'd actually almost call it, by the looks of it, it would be considered cavitation, especially if he said it was done by water. But these two here were pretty decent, as you can see. This is where the gasket was blowing between 2 and 3 there, and you can see there's a clear defined mark there. It was blowing through the 2. But yeah, this here, this pitting, he said there was no way he was going to be able to plane that out. And I guess that there is a seat in there, a valve seat. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was pretty significant. I guess the seat would have went back in, but he did not like it. So that's why we went ahead and got a new cylinder head for this thing. And it actually is new. We ended up ordering it out of the United States, but it came from the same dealership we got the rings and stuff like that from, the New Holland Massey dealership that's local to us. So we got that. You can see that number 1 was kind of bad, but this number 2, which was the problem cylinder all along, it was really bad. So I don't know if anyone else has encountered that, but according to the machine shop, they have, and they said that's from running water in your engine or coolant system instead of using coolant or whatever, Prestone. So here's the new head. Beautiful bench we have it sitting on here. A nice lawn chair. But it came in a wooden crate, and it was, like I said, out of the States. But the parts that came with it, it's basically a complete head. Nothing was missing except obviously the studs and the intake we put on from the old one. All these studs we had to remove from the old head, put them in, and this water port here, which houses the thermostat. But that, as far as I can know, that looks like a brand spanking new head. It's not actually a reman or anything. So they're obviously still making these, or someone had bought a whole whack of them, and they're a supplier of them. Like I said in the previous video, they have probably millions of these exact blocks and motors out there, like over in India and stuff. Pretty sure that's the go-to motor, that Perkins 203 or whatever, and that's this thing. So yeah, it's coming along. We got it, changed some gaskets in there and stuff like that, and pretty straightforward stuff. So I'll get another video of us putting the head back on again, and then torquing all these bolts, head bolts down to the proper method to do so, and get the valve train on there, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's obviously part of the head bolts too, so we'll get that on there, and then we will I'll adjust the valves accordingly. It seems like the valves are pretty straightforward. There's no difference in clearance. They're both 12th thou, I believe. I'll have to give that a second look in the old manual over there, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And yeah, it's going along. We got gaskets galore, figuring out where they go. And I think from the last video, this thing here is together for the most part, oil pan on, and yeah. So we're into the head reinstallment phase here. This particular head, it uses these, what the book refers to as mushroom style cam followers or lifters. So they go directly on the cam, and this part here has the adjustment on it, essentially just a little bolt or whatever. But yeah, they go in the head, obviously, and yeah, so we'll end up doing that very shortly. Make sure when you're doing this that, as I explained earlier, that some of these had oil in them. You got to clean them well. It's pretty much obvious that the where the studs go through, this thing doesn't have bolts, it uses studs, I guess. So yeah, the torque procedure seems, clean that oil off my hands here, seems pretty straightforward. Looks like it's just a one-time torque. You torque it down to spec, and it is, I believe, 55 to 60 foot-pounds right there. So you confirm it here, sorry with the stupid shadow. Where is it? Ah, here we go. So it's right there. When installing cylinder head bolts on both sides of the head gasket, spray it with, when installing cylinder head, coat both sides of cylinder head with non-hardening sealing compound, which we have. Gasket is marked top front for proper installation. Tighten cylinder head stud nuts to a torque of 55 to 60 foot-pound using the sequence shown over here. Right there. There's the sequence, guys. So there we go. And that's for the, this would be a it's the same motor that's in your 165. It's the same era of the 165, which I explained earlier. There, and see, this is very important here when you're doing this. The head should be retorqued and valves adjusted after the engine has been warmed. So you got supposed to bring it up to temperature before or after and retorque these. It doesn't matter either if it's cooled down or whatever. It doesn't have to be warm, but that's part of the procedure with this thing. I know that some guys I see videos where they're doing a multi-torque sequence, but it's not what it calls for in the book, and that's never what we did either, or my grandfather, who was the mechanic, and we've never had a problem. But yes, you do have to warm the motor, so that's very important. So we'll get on with that. And the studs themselves, it's viable for you to put oil on them. Like you just put a little bit of oil on both the threads, and like just put some that go in here. These don't have to be torqued, just tight, like snug, and then you're torquing after on the nut, and you can oil both sides just a little bit. So we got the head back on here, as you can see. I did the torque sequence as shown in the book there. Got the valve train on, and we're just at the point of setting the valves. We already got these two and these two, this one and this one set at 12 thou. You put a mark on the crank, and you got to crank it over one full revolution. I don't know if you can see it down there, but we use that soapstone as kind of a guide. And now we're on to doing these two here, and then you skip one, this one, and then that one right there, and we're going to do that. But it's hard to set the camera here, so I'll just go ahead and do it. And that's what you got to do. The feeler gauge is wherever, but that's how it is. And here's what it says in the book. It's pretty straightforward. First step is this, starting on the front, exactly what I explained there, and then this here, and it tells you right there for the diesels. So there we go, and move on. To set those valves, I showed it earlier, but I'll show you kind of the process. This is the timing hole right here. I bet it's going to be very difficult to see, but in there's a timing mark, and it's like difficult. I don't think I can get it for you, but it says top dead center number 1, exactly what it says in the book. And what you want to do is get it in between. Big stupid hand in the way here, still in the way. right in, just kind of half in the middle. Some of them actually have an indicating mark, like a little line on there or a little pointer. This one of course doesn't, but in between, as long as you're in within reason in that hole, it's pretty much going to be accurate when you're setting these valves or running the valves or whatever you want to call it. So we'll bring it over here and we'll just give you a quick demonstration. I know they're already all set, but I'll just kind of give you a rundown. I didn't really have a chance to get the camera going. It's hard to set up because it's an old camera, like I've mentioned 100 times. All right, for the job, obviously, you need a feeler gauge, so right here. And we'll select the 12 thou, which is what it indicates on the the repair manual, I guess. Well, we got the 12 thou right here, and the first two we run will be number 1 and number 2, or number 1, sorry, exhaust and intake, and then you skip one and you go to this one to do it, and then you skip one and do this one. So should be pretty good there. That's good. That's good there. That one's good. And that one's good. So you got good clearance there. To do the job, because they aren't the regular style that you would normally have, these, like I said earlier, these are a mushroom style follower or lifter, whatever. The bottom here, you need a decent thin wrench, or if you got a crappy old one, it's 1/2 inch or 13 millimeters. They work the same. And if it's too thick in here, this will not fit under here, and it'll pull the lifter up on you, and you won't get an accurate reading. So you got to make sure that there's a little bit of clearance in there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but a little bit of clearance there, so it's just snug. And what I did, I just kind of set the wrench against there to hold it, and you run this here, and it's, once again, it's all in the feel. You get that in there, so it's all right. And you run your 9, in both of these here are 9/16, the jam nut and the actual bolt. It's not a set screw, it's an actual bolt, so this needs to be tightened like that. Whatever, I don't need to show you that, but there it is. But that's how it's done. You need a 1/2 inch wrench, thin one for in the lifter area between the head and the lifter, 2 9/16, and you need obviously your feeler gauge, which is 12 thou on this particular model. I don't know, with the new revisions they had different settings on the valves. I'm not sure, but on this particular one, valve exhaust, I think that's exhaust again, I can't remember, and intake are both 12 thou. So easy as heck. And the next step, what you do is you crank the motor over a full 360 degrees, which a good practice, I guess, would be to take it and mark your crank down there. Hard to see. Or mark the pulley. Got a soapstone mark on there. And set it on, or you can go back to that timing mark again. It's easy as heck too to do either or. Go over there, or it just saves you a lot of running around looking if you're by yourself. Just put one little mark on there, turn it over with because these here have a shaft down there that runs the hydraulic pump. It's hard to get your bar on the bolts or whatever. So the fan is tight enough, the fan belt, just run a screwdriver in here, in between here, and you can easily turn it over, no problem. So just like that, and do that so that comes back up on the line. What we did was just set a screwdriver or a piece of soapstone down there, or even mark it like that, close to your mark, and there you go. Once it's back up top, you can run these valves. You go intake, exhaust here, skip one, this one, same, exhaust or intake, I can't remember, don't quote me. And then this one here, this last one here on number 2, and once again 12th thou. So yeah, it went fairly well. We got that done. Next step is to gotta run the engine. Hopefully it doesn't do anything we don't want to do, but we followed the book fairly well and got a little bit of knowledge, I guess, from doing it in the past. My grandfather was actually helping a bit, or giving us some tips at 80, 90 years old, going on 91, and he was here helping me with these valves earlier, just holding things, because it is kind of a pain to do by yourself, holding these wrenches and that. He was kind of just had the feeler gauge in there helping. So yeah, and the next step is just to get it warm to temperature, and then you're supposed to retorque all these back, just retorque them to your 60 or 55 foot-pounds, 55 to 60 foot-pounds. Only the problem, it's not really a problem, but kind of a pain in the arse here, pain in the ass. You gotta take all these, you gotta take the whole rocker assembly, rocker train off here to do these ones, unfortunately. And then doing that, it does suggest running the valves again, which should be pretty straightforward. If you don't release these jam nuts, it should be within reason. You might have, like, there might be a little bit of like difference in here when you tighten these down, but it does say to readjust them, so it's probably recommended to do that. Like this thing did have a blown head gasket before, for sure, between number 2 and 3, which I showed you. So yeah, that's pretty well all there is to it here. So far, we'll see if it runs shortly, and I'll get another video up, and hopefully hope for the best and it doesn't go bang pop and we just look stupid for doing what we did. But hopefully you enjoyed it so far. One more thing to add here before you get too, like, when you're reassembling it, they actually suggest using assembly lube or oil on all these lifters and everything that has a contact point, like in here. So you oil all this stuff too before you put it all together. So put a little tiny drop of oil on all of it and oil these well. You can even put a little wee bit of grease on the bottom of these tappets, I guess, before you put them in. It doesn't hurt. It won't hurt to do that. And you're supposed to oil put a little bit of oil on all of these too before you torque them down, all the head nuts. So we did that, and it just makes things a little better. And prior to running this, we'll crank it over with, I've already barred it over a couple times, making sure nothing's jammed up or anything, and it seems fine. So prior to actually getting it running, we'll crank it over until we see oil pressure on the gauge, which I think is a wise practice, because then it's not firing and making all that much heat yet. And we'll do it without the injectors in also, so just to get oil flowing. And that was another thing I guess I should add. When you're barring this over to run these valves, make sure, just keep your ejectors out, because then you'll be working against the compression every time when you're trying to get these valves set. I know it's only one revolution over, but it's still kind of a pain, and it's much easier. So yeah.